We have the 31st Sunday of Ordinary Time coming up very soon, and the reading for that is taken from Mark 12, 28 to 34. It's often called the first commandment, but as we'll see, it actually has a second commandment in it as well. So this is what we're using today. And we have the figurines, which are taken from the Gospel characters, a few selected. And in it we have the Jesus, who is not the risen Jesus, but a preaching Jesus. And quite importantly here, figurines that could represent the scribes and possibly Pharisees. So this is how the presentation goes. I'm just going to run through it straight today without too much more explanation. Other times there's quite a bit of explanation attached to these presentations, but today we'll just present it as it, very much as it would be for the children. But the first thing to consider are the core concepts that are presented at the front of the booklet. And it says here, the two great commandments contain the whole of the law. And these were, number one, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And the second commandment that Jesus summarized for us and pointed towards us is, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So the words to introduce to the children are as follows, before you actually light the candle. And these are those words, scribes. The scribes were a group of Jewish leaders who copied out important documents. This could be a scribe here. And the commandments were the set of rules that God put in place so that people would know how to be the best that they can be. Neighbor, in the Bible, when a neighbor is referred to, particularly in the New Testament, it means any person who is in need of our help or our kindness. And our neighbor could be someone that we come across, not just someone who is literally a neighbor. So here's the presentation. At Mass, we can hear about a special conversation that Jesus had with one of the Jewish leaders, one of the scribes, who wanted to know which commandment was the most important one. There were lots of commandments written in the Bible. There are the 10 commandments that God gave to Moses, and this is where you can actually ask the children if they've heard of those commandments. And there were other commandments too. Let's listen to what Jesus actually said about this. For that, we're going to light our candle. There you go. Because we're reading from the Bible, and it's reminding us of that and of Jesus' presence among us. So, this is the presentation. One of the scribes came up and asked Jesus, which commandment is the first of all? And Jesus answered, the first is, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And the second is this. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. The scribe then said to him, you are right, teacher. You have truly said that he is one and there is no other but he, and to love him with all the heart and with all the understanding and with all the strength, and to love one's neighbor as oneself is much more than all the whole of burnt offerings and sacrifices. When Jesus saw that he answered wisely, he said to him, "You are not far from the kingdom of heaven." So here are the I wonder questions that could be good for the children who are there at either the children's liturgy or Sunday school. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and all your mind and all your strength. I wonder how many ways that we can live this first commandment. That's a good one to open out for the children. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. How can we live the second commandment? How can we love our neighbor as ourselves? Two simple questions that are actually very profound. And then moving on for them, the activities to do if they have a bit of time, if it's a Sunday school, or they can take something home. There are lots of little craft activities that you can access which focus on this commandment or these two commandments, and can get children thinking a little bit more about how they can apply it to their own lives. So that kind of mindful completion of an activity or mindful colouring in. And then they could illustrate, they could make an illustration, a poster of what it is to live these two commandments. That's another thing you can put in front of the children as a possibility. And then, of course, spending a little bit of time in the prayer space.